guys? Welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from ColdSploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We are here on the eve of Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, and today we're bringing you a special episode that is full of Thanksgiving festivities and fun. One that we are so happy to bring you and had an enjoyable time preparing for. To be honest with you, Thanksgiving episodes, we've done a lot of the main stuff, right? Like we did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We did the biggest Thanksgiving movie of them all, Dutch. We also did Rambo First Blood, and that's not even a Thanksgiving movie. We did that accidentally. But
Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's all the same.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of we've done a lot of Thanksgiving movies, and it's getting harder as we go on each year. It's getting harder and harder.
We've done Thanksgiving.
That is true. Yep, we didn't do the third one, which is it's a thought for another time.
No, it's not. I think, you know what? I think after this, we do Alice's Restaurant finally next year, and then we just call it a day. Move on.
I guess so. I'm not interested in Alice's Restaurant, but I guess we got to do it.
Well, I mean, it's an actual Thanksgiving film. I mean,
yeah.
Was I interested in Dutch, the lowest rent of John Hughes films? No. But you sat there and made me watch that fucking piece of shit anyway.
See, my dad agrees with you. He doesn't really like Dutch. We asked if we were like, oh, do you want to watch Dutch for this? And he's like, not really. We watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles tonight, but yeah, we asked if he wanted to watch Dutch, and he said, not really.
So who was it that introduced you to Dutch?
I think it was like a list online. It was like Thanksgiving movies you probably haven't seen, and one was Dutch, so we watched it, and we're like, wow, this is a great Thanksgiving movie. I can't believe we haven't seen this movie.
It's not, though.
I like it.
I know you like it.
I like it a lot. Christopher McDonald's in it. Which
he's
also good to know. There's a new show, fairly new show on Netflix that Christopher McDonald is in, The Watcher.
Ooh,
yeah, he's got a somewhat smaller part, but he plays like the police chief. Yeah,
Christopher McDonald, also better known as Shooter McGavin.
That's
also
right.
Better known as Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah, you always bring that up. Yeah, he's in.
If you're gonna say James Wood, noted Twitter asshole, anytime Christopher McDonald, it's gonna be noted Bills fan.
Bills fan. Probably watching tomorrow while watching Dutch.
No, he's not watching Dutch.
So, all that to say, it's getting harder and harder to find Thanksgiving movies. We even covered I think was it last year we did Blood Rage?
Yeah,
which was again another one of those movies where it's like
trifling.
It's Thanksgiving, but it's a rough one.
It was pretty trifling.
And you know what? Interestingly enough, this episode is going to be probably very similar to our coverage of Blood Rage, because even the quality and the whole idea of this movie is very, very similar to Blood Rage in scope. And this is not a very well-known film. It is a slasher movie from the 80s, early 80s, really. Very early, 1981. So it's competing with the early kin in the slasher film franchise. But it doesn't have anything going for it that the other films had, especially when you consider the fact that it's like, we did Halloween, we did Christmas. What's the next holiday for a slasher movie? Thanksgiving. Be perfect.
Not only that, if during that time period you make a slasher film and it can't be noted, it's really not noted for anything.
Mm-hmm.
You did a shitty job.
That's true. At that time, is that not as many films get made at that time. So I wouldn't say that it's getting overshadowed. It's more so people were like saw it and were like, no, no, thank you.
They Indiana Jones did. They, threw it into the vault, into the...
Yeah. They put it away. And it is interesting that it hasn't gotten any recent release, because we have a revival of slasher movies, right? We have a revival of like Arrow Video and Vinegar Syndrome. They're going back in the archives and they're saying, like, what are some really, really not well known slasher movies that we could put out on Blu-ray and like kind of, you know, bring to the forefront. And someone probably had the reel for Home Sweet Home and they're like, no thanks. No.
Sir, would you part with that film reel for $5? No.
Yeah, it's like, we have the 35 millimeter original camera negative, and we're willing to offer it to you for well under the normal price for the rights to these things. And Vinegar Syndrome is like, nah. Even that is sinking too low for our fan base.
Half the film is in the dark. We can't do anything with that.
I know. Yeah, so I kind of revealed that in the last bit there, but we're talking about Home Sweet Home, which a really weird title for this movie, for one thing. Has very little to do with the overall movie itself. Thanksgiving is a part of the movie, but again, it's almost like someone said, we need something to kind of gel this together. Like, what would all these people be meeting together for? And they were like, Thanksgiving! Just put a turkey on the table. The people will know it's Thanksgiving. And that's pretty much all that Home Sweet Home has for Thanksgiving festivities, really. There's a little girl stuffing her face with turkey who went on to be the Yabo girl from Hocus Pocus. So, that's what we're working with Home Sweet Home. Like I said, hasn't had a major release since on Blu-ray. Its director, which is one thing that's notable. The director, Nettie Pena, is a woman, which is not often the case in horror movies and slasher movies, especially at the time. She did not go on to do any other like major directing credits after this. I think she did direct like one other movie, which no one has ever heard of, called They're Not Green, and it was a documentary. So, this was pretty much the end of her career. She also edited Dracula Sucks, which is a pseudo-adult film horror movie, which I think that one Vinegar Syndrome did release. So,
well, it's got Dracula in it. So.
Right. So, yeah. But yeah, that one Vinegar Syndrome released. Yeah, so Nettie Pena didn't go on to do anything else. Most of the actors in this movie did not go on, or were not even known at all. The only one that's probably somewhat known is Jake Steinfeld, who plays the main bad guy, the killer.
I thought you were going to say Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, right. Dude's a brick shithouse in this movie. He literally cannot put his arms down in this movie. He's like one of the Stretch Armstrong dolls. He just is just walking around with his arms to the out to his sides.
What are they? The traps, the muscle above like your shoulder, or whatever.
I don't work out. How would I know?
I was gonna say, well, they go to like his ears. That's how fucking like, monstrous.
Whatever that muscle is, they go to his ears. He was in Coming to America. He's a cab driver in that movie.
Coming to America.
Huh?
What a great movie. I wish we were doing that instead.
But other than that, there's really not much, to remark about the cast or the crew about this movie, which tells you all you need to know about it. And suffice to say, neither of us have ever seen this movie. This was a pick for me where I was going through a list of Thanksgiving movies. I was like, what could we do that would make sense on the podcast? And I was like, Home Sweet Home. This one looks interesting.
Like you had to dig that one up.
I kind of did.
You weren't sitting there like, oh, let's do the noted classic. Home Sweet Home.
Yeah, no.
I was hoping it was the film Sweet Home from Japan, the Japanese horror film from the 80s that inspired Resident Evil.
Yeah. No, it didn't. It did not come to me like immediately. I had to look it up, to see what else was there. And, but it is listed on some IMDb lists as just like Thanksgiving horror movies. But there's not a lot. There's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies. It's a very, there's a dearth of Thanksgiving movies in general. So we had to dig deep. And this is going to be like a Mako. If you remember back when we covered Mako. And Martin still remembers covering Mako. I actually, you know what, though? I do have that movie now. If you wanted to revisit it, making sure that it wasn't the quality that we watched that was the issue with your viewing experience, I do have it on Blu-ray. So you can revisit it again and just see, like, maybe it is close to Jaws level of filmmaking.
No. I'm looking through our almost 220, 230 episodes, and out of all of them, Mako is still probably the most taxing film to go through, and this one's up there.
Yeah,
And you know what's funny is, out of all of them, not a lot of them are that bad. I think outside of like Mako, it's probably Batman v Superman. But this one's right up there. I don't think there's anything else where like I was literally restless throughout this film, like getting up and like walking around. And we've done a lot of dog shit on here because that's what Ryan chooses for us to do. But
sometimes they're fun to do.
Oh, hold on, let's see. Long Weekend, you know what? That was also, if I remember correctly, a nice...
No, you're wrong. That was a great movie. It's a great movie.
Fucking...
Love Long Weekend.
Restless piece of crap. The Mummy, well, that was in theaters, so you know what? That's not really that restless, because that was in theaters. But, RoboCop, oof, that's 2014, yep, that's up there.
Well, we've done quite a few, but...
Episode 79, by the way, is Mako, if you want to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, give it a shot. Neither here nor there, though. Home Sweet Home is definitely a movie that we're going to talk about. And we're going to try to find things to comment on about it.
You know what? I think if I remember correctly, Thanksgiving was also dog shit.
Yeah.
And really hard to get through.
It is. But it has some charms to it. Which I would say even Home Sweet Home is lacking, and we'll talk about how it's lacking that stuff. But first, let's talk about the beer that we have on the show today, because this is one that I think we mentioned on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and we now have it in our hands. So, what did you pick up?
Oh, it's me?
Yeah.
I picked it up?
Yeah.
Throwing me under the bus. No. One of our most prominent breweries that we feature here on the podcast is Genesee, because not only are we New Yorkers, we're also a fan of local beer, and Genesee is local beer, even though they're 3 hours away in Rochester, as we, live our lives in the meandering area that is the mix of capital area, Adirondacks, and the Mohawk Valley, besides the point. Big fans of Genesee on here. They recently have released I guess what they're calling their brewer series, which I hope that means that there's going to be more from it. Mm-hmm. They used to do a brew house series, which was a bunch of the pilot batches from the brew house that were successful and well received. We used to do a bunch of them on here. I think we did like the IPA, the Grüngeist Pale Ale, which is great. We definitely did on here the salted caramel Scotch Ale and the salted caramel porter. Mm-hmm. But even though they've like kind of expand their seasonals to like these nice beers, and we've done every seasonal that they've released, and some of the other things. They haven't, the Pilot Batch series has been kind of gone for 3 years now, which is sad. So if the Brewer series is going to replace that, I look forward to it, because they've always been very good beers. Genesee, for the most part, do really good beers, especially for a macro brewery. And not only that, though, a lot of the stuff, the specialty stuff is really good and above and beyond. Because a lot, like around here, Genesee usually has like a negative reputation. If you're like, oh, try the cream ale, they're like, oh, that gives you the shits. And you're like, no, try this. And then they have it, and they're like, oh my god, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I've been like converting people over for the past decade. And this time around, to kind of launch this brewer series, they have a Imperial Stout, which, I'll be honest with you, as much as I like stouts, and I do like stouts, in spite of what Ryan might say, I'm stouted out, because we have a friend that loves stouts so much, he overloads us with them, and you don't know what the fuck to do with them. So I'm kind of stouted out. Not only is this a stout, it's an Imperial Stout, so yeah, even more. But it's a style I like, but I really have to be in the mood to drink it. Because a stout, like especially Imperial Stouts, they're heavy on the alcohol, they're heavy beers. Depending on what they want to go for, they can be very complex in style and very good. Like, for instance, our friend, and I can't remember if we did it on the show or not, where we just had it, the New Holland Dragon's Milk Stroopwafel. Did we do that on the show, or was that just like...
No, we didn't do that one on the show.
So that, was really good. It's like Belgian waffle and sugar and maple and all... 70 different things coming out of it. And it was really good, and I liked it a lot. But it's a 12% beer. It's really heavy, and if it's not colder than a witch's tit out, I don't really have any use for it, because it's just like after you drink, you're like, I'm gonna go. Your day's it's like having a French dip sandwich. As delicious as it is, you're gonna be like, my day's done after that. I gotta just go and take a siesta. So that's my feeling on the style overall, and I've probably made it clear the few times that we have done stouts and Imperial Stouts on here. I like them. It's something I really have to be in the mood for. Otherwise, I'm just going to be like, no, I'd rather have an IPA or something that's going to be refreshing to drink, because most of these are not refreshing at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, I think that...
I was going to say...
Sure.
I was going to say...
I don't know. Are you done?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, that being said, on my rant there, this is a very, very good stout. It's got the nice chocolatey, biscuity notes to it. I was taking a drink of it, so that's why. It's got the nice chocolatey, biscuity notes to it. Coffee-like. Very easy to drink. At 8%, there's literally no alcohol back taste to it. It's very, very delightful. I would say a well above average Imperial Stout, because the way they kind of balanced it. There's no bitterness to it. It's very, very easy drinking for the 8%, and for the style, it's got this really nice balance to it, to where you got the nice cocoa, the breadiness, the coffee aspect to it. Yeah. I like it a lot, and the can's really delightful too, with that nice church glass look to it.
Yeah, I would say that I think that this is a pretty good representation of the stout style. You're right, for the alcohol content, you really don't get it in the taste. It does manage the cocoa and the the maltiness very well, and I think that it is light enough where it's not overpowering as a stout. And with that said, I think that this is a safer stout from Jenny in terms of it, starting their brewer series. But perhaps they were just interested in not fucking around with the adjuncts as their first venture into this territory for brewer series, because I can appreciate the fact that they went back to the basics, because everybody now is stout with. We threw maple
okay.
pecans in there, and we threw tree bark in there too, giving it a nice little texture.
We aged it in rum barrels, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna be just 9%. It's gonna be 14%.
And all of that sometimes can take away from the true simplicity of what a stout can be. And so I think that there is something to be said about making their brewer series a simple imperial stout, just a stout. What it does do is blow like some of the more mainstream stouts out of the water, like Guinness. Guinness's U.S. stout version is very watery compared to this imperial stout, even though this imperial stout is what I would call on the lighter side. It's not like an extremely thick stout, but it is a very drinkable stout. And one other issue that I'll raise with this is that occasionally I do get somewhat of a tinny taste to it. And I think that can be attributed to the occasional malty chemical. I don't know. There's probably some malt in there that is giving a chemical taste of tinniness to it, which is probably just something that I'm getting. And I did see some other people comment about the tinniness on some check-ins from it. But I don't know that is necessarily like a problem with the actual brewing process. I think it's more so the fact that some of the malts can occasionally bring about this tinny taste for certain people with certain taste buds.
I didn't get any tinny taste from it.
Right, and you don't get it, but I like I said, I think it's something to do with like a chemical reaction with the malts that certain people might taste. I don't think it's like a flaw with the actual beer itself.
Which is okay, because I think you can make that argument. I mean, I know it's a totally different style of beer, but Heineken in cans is like, when I drink it, though it is delightful, you still get, like, at least for me, I get a pretty big, like, aluminum taste to it. Like, you can taste the can right to the...
Yeah, I think it just... Some people might notice it, some people might not. So, but otherwise, I think it's pretty good for their first brewer series.
I'd be interested to see what they do. There's, like I said, I'm glad. Like, it's like, if this is going to be the pilot batch series, but in a different way, I'm really happy to see it, because the pilot batch series was really good. I think there was probably, out of like the 15 beers that they did, 2 of them that I didn't care for, like the Winter Warmer being one, because I hate Winter Warmers, but for the most part, like the Orange Honey Cream Ale, the Mosaic Cream Ale, like I said, the Grüngeist Pale Ale, the Simcoe Smash IPA, the just regular Smash, IPA. They had a lot, their regular Scotch Ale, the Double Bock, and they had a lot of good stuff, that was interesting and worth trying, and out of their, what people know, well, I wouldn't say out of their wheelhouse, because, like I said, they are capable of making these well-crafted beers. It's just because they're a macro brewer, people know them for, the regular red eyes, the light, the ice, and, the cream ale, which is great, but,
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I can't wait to see what they do. Hopefully they continue it.
What if the brewer series is just stouts? What would you do?
I mean, I would try every single one, but I would be annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still sad, like it's kind of nice too, because I'm kind of sad, like, that I'm kind of sad that the Cran Orange Keller beer, which is delightful, by the way, and we have done on the show. I am sad that that is taken over, like, the Schwarzbier, because when they had the 1 year where they did the Schwarzbier, it's fucking amazing, because there's nobody who really, at least around here, that does, black lagers, and the only other black lager that's really of note and worth a damn is Saranac's, Black Forest, which is, one of the few beers that's like that they've released that's perfect. So
right.
You know what? Hold on. Let's before we go into this shitty movie, let's see what's on tap at the Genesee Brew House right now. That's of interest. Still have Oktoberfest on tap if you want some.
Finishing up that keg.
They have a Brew House IPA with Kveik and Cashmere. So Kveik is yeast to produce an unfiltered ale that's juicy and citrus, lemon, melon. They have that Imperial Marzen, which I really want to try. A blonde ale cryo hop blend. That sounds absolutely delightful. English Session Brown. And then they got the Scotch Ale back. And the Groengeist Pale Ale. So.
Nice.
Those are all incredibly delightful.
All right, so you've been putting it off, but it's time to talk about Home Sweet Home. In depth.
Sweet home.
So the first thing I want to point out about this movie is that it is a very oddly written movie. It was written by Thomas Bush.
That's just your slang for poorly written.
Well, I literally mean oddly written. This is a weird movie in general. It is a weird movie in the fact that it does follow slasher elements to a certain extent, but it almost exists outside of reality in some capacity. A lot of things that happen in this movie just don't even make any sense. I'm thinking about after the movie's first kill. We go to the hacienda that the Thanksgiving feast is supposed to take part at, and
you'd say you're welcome for me.
Yes, but you are right. That is what it is. It's a hacienda.
It's like John Marston goes down to Mexico for the first time, and like that one little town. I can't remember what the hell it's called because I haven't played Red Dead 1 in forever. But like that one little town by the railroad station where you can buy like that little apartment by the side.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. And so the Bradleys live there, and they're holding this Thanksgiving get together, and it's this guy who for a while we don't even know why he's there. Comes with his girlfriend to basically have Thanksgiving dinner and go to his apartment because he lives there too in an apartment.
It's not just a ranch; it's also an apartment.
Yeah, and they immediately start to have sex in literally the driveway. They're literally outside the hacienda. And they're we can't wait.
Because it's the 80s, man. You got your car parked, that's slang for let's fucking do it. Yeah, you know what? While my dick's in you, have that fucking stick up your ass as well, that way, I
love it. He dive bombs her in the car. And not only is that happening in the driveway, but then very inappropriately, Harold Bradley...
No, not inappropriately.
Yes, inappropriately. The young girl, Angel, is right there. Harold's coming inside. He's like, I need a fucking Valium because my fucking kid, who's named Mistake, in this literally has no other name. His name is the Mistake in this movie. It's that if this movie were 2022, Mistake would then go out and shoot up a fucking grocery store. Because he'd be like the kid who never had any parental tutelage, and he's like, I'm taking it out on everybody else. My name is fucking Mistake.
How dare you say somebody of the Kiss Army would be? Which also, even by 1981, is one of the most dated concepts ever. Rock and roll will never die.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, son. Rock and roll died around 1996.
Well, you didn't. For our listeners who most likely have never seen this movie, will never have to subject themselves to it after they listen to this episode. You didn't explain that Mistake wears white face paint through the entire movie. He is like fucking 15-year-old Danzig.
Like a fucking ghoul. Well, it's also funny too because like the Wikipedia is more descriptive than the film because here like he's a member of the Kiss Army. I don't ever remember them saying anything about the Kiss Army. I think it's just like he's this fucking creep that runs around playing his like Epiphone knockoff Les Paul with a backpack amp, and he's like, damn, instead of like playing anything melodic, he's just like
it does say that, doesn't it? And how does the Wikipedia know that?
Well, it's the same thing with our killer. Our killer says on a PCP.
They do mention PCP. They do mention PCP. That's what he's doing at the beginning of the movie. They say it on the radio. They say he's a PCP addict because the guy's going on the radio about like, well, I got like 40 people coming over for Thanksgiving dinner and we get like 9 legs gonna hand out Thanksgiving. But yeah, no, they do mention he's a PCP addict, and then you see him like inject or have like the dropper of PCP that he's given himself before he goes to the ranch. They do mention that. The Kiss Army, though, that I'm gonna call bullshit on. That I do not recall them ever mentioning, nor getting the impression that his face paint was supposed to be Kiss Army.
Yeah, because Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons would suit him into oblivion.
Yeah.
But this is like right around the time when they're coming out, taking the makeup off, and like, it's going to be, lick it up! Lick it up!
I do like how they refer to it on the Wikipedia as he's a Kiss Army soldier. Hilarious.
Well, yeah, that was a thing.
I know, but that is funny. No, but you're right. I don't. They never mention that, so I did not get that impression. I just thought he's a fucking weirdo. He's a weird,
like I said, by 1981, like if this kid's running around like, "Hey, Kiss!" like he would have been getting the shit kicked out of him. Like no one listens to Kiss anymore. You fucking fruitcake.
Not only that, he's like running around. And it's like, kid, it's Thanksgiving. Put on your best. You wearing your face paint.
No, it's not like that. It's, hey, kid, I want to go and fuck your mom.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Harold comes into the kitchen. He's like, I need a fucking Valium. That mistake. He's running me all over the ranch. I need a Valium. And she's like, I'll give you something else. Hey, Angel, why don't you just turn around for a second and let me pull out my tits? And that's pretty much what happens. And then, like I said, everybody in this movie in the beginning of the movie is just like, we got to get it on. We got to get it on. And you mentioned the apparent relationship between this movie and it's kind of like the Taboo series. It's like everybody's having sex with everybody. Mom and son, mom and aunt and son, and aunt and nephew. Who cares?
Well, if you look at those boobies, you think it's Kay Parker standing there. Like,
that's true. Yeah, it does. She what's her name? Sally Young. Sally Young does give off Kay Parker vibes in this movie. That's true.
Which I think is almost intentional. Because you know what? Speaking of, like, that whole opening, like, with Jay Jones driving around and being a menace to society, with that, like, opening credit sequence, it's almost like you're watching, like, a late 70s, early 80s porn. Like, just, like...
The cruising part, like, during the credits?
Yeah.
Super unnecessary credits of just watching him drive around for 2-3 minutes.
And you're waiting for what's the fucking film called? And Home Sweet Home after he fucking mows down that old lady.
It's hilarious. The scene where he mows that old lady down, I almost forgot about that.
Walking across the LA freeway, it's got a crosswalk, and she's holding these bags, and they're braking, and then he's like, I can't stop, because he's like Sammy Hagar, like, I can't drive 55.
Well, it is funny too, because at first it almost makes it look like it's an accident, and then he's like, I'm just gonna mow her down.
Well, no, because he's already killed that one guy. Like, the first thing that we see in this movie is guy sitting in his car fucking chugging a Church Key Budweiser and like, hey, man, want a beer? and then our killer Jay
just fucking rips him out the window. It's such a yeah. Can you imagine? You're just sitting in your car. All of a sudden, this brick shit house turns up and rips you out the window.
Well, not only that though, like
what a Thanksgiving.
Just thinking about the times like today, fucking just sitting there like, hey man, want a beer? And like if a cop drove by, like, hey, you get home safe, okay?
Yeah.
Like it'd be 20 to like life now. Like, hey, you had a sip of whiskey on your way home. You're going to jail for life. Just,
yeah,
hilarious.
Like I said, this movie operates outside of realism. It's like in a surreal alternate dimension, and I mean, I will say that I think that the first parts of the movie are actually pretty funny because they are so weird and bad. Like it's done so awful, and the writing is so bad that it is pretty funny occasionally. Like not on accident, of course, but one of my other favorites is the guy, and I can't remember everybody's names because it really doesn't matter. I think his name is Wayne.
They barely say anyone's name.
I think his name is Wayne, but it's the guy who is placing like a huge sports bet, and he's like, "I'm here on business, and the fucking power's out, and the TV's out. What am I gonna do?" And he goes off because he's going to look for the women who have driven off to like get wine, and the other guy, Scott. He's like, "Are you coming with me?" And Scott's like, "No, I think there needs to be a man around here that sticks around and makes sure that everybody's okay."
Not only that, well, sorry to interrupt, but like the one lady, Gail, that's with goes with Linda.
Yeah.
I like when she just randomly shows up for a second. I thought that was like young Lisa Ann just popping in. Like,
oh, that girl is definitely on like Valium. The way she delivers her lines is just
hey
guys,
what's up?
Forgot the wine, and not only that too, but the whole their segment going off to get wine, and then being in the car, and then it's revealed that, oh yeah, the gas tank light doesn't work right. So they conveniently run out of gas. It's just ridiculous. They have the whole scene where the police pull them over, and they make a really big point of making sure that Linda again gets to show her tatas. She like reveals them as like, "Don't worry, I'll handle this. I'll get us out of this ticket." And the cop has a flashlight.
I'm gonna go from 2 buttons to 1 button.
Yeah, the cop has a flashlight too, and the film makes it really
a flashlight.
Yeah, right. He's gonna need it after this encounter. No, but he has this flashlight. He pulls it out, and the movie like makes this really really big scene of him putting the flashlight on her like chest, on her blouse, and like it does it like 3 or 4 times. Of like, did you guys get that?
No, it's like on her tits.
Yeah,
you don't have to church it up. It's on her tits the entire time. Not like that though. That whole setup's like a fucking like what again? Like if you're watching like an 80s porn, like, oh, I didn't know it was a speed trap. You won't give me a ticket, will you, officer? I don't know, partner. Should we give her a ticket? No, I think we should give her a warning. All that's missing is bam.
Yeah, it's like, I'll give you a warning, but you've got to give me something else.
I'll give you a warning with my wood.
Yeah, it's like, and after that too, it's so funny because like the cops are such bumbling guys. At least from what I could see, because the film is really dark. We watched like a VHS rip. It was super hard to see any details. But from what I saw, the cop was like a bumbling guy. And
partner.
Yeah. And later on, she's like, "That cop was so cute. Oh my gosh. I just wish I could have that cop."
And then after that, the cops are like, "Did you see those bazumbas?"
Mm-hmm.
Those big bazombs.
The movie's writing is really bad. But again, it can be very funny. I think where the movie goes wrong is like in the second half where it really has nothing happening. For a long period of time, this movie is just very placid. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have a storyline. There's not even any reasoning behind why Jane Jones is like, "I've got to get to this house and murder these people. I'm going to spend 4 hours tonight,
hiding in their
cutting
shit.
off their power, looking in the windows. It doesn't really even make any sense, but it has no real plot to it. And so if you're looking for something that has at least like a semblance of a story, you're not going to get it from Home Sweet Home. People like to complain about slasher movies and say they have no point. Home Sweet Home is one of those slashers that really has no point whatsoever. It really doesn't say or do anything. It just kind of exists. It's just a story that happens. And I think that's my biggest complaint with it. And I think that's where it goes wrong, like in the second half, where by the second half, like more than half of our cast is dead, too. So we've got like 45 minutes where I remember checking the time and I'm like, wait a second. We started with 9 people. We've already lost like 5 people. What are they going to do for the next 45 minutes?
Where did Churro go?
It's like, really? They don't do anything for that last 45 minutes. There's a lot of like running around. There's a lot of what's her name? Jennifer, I think. Jennifer just being like, I'm going to sit by the fire. I think I'll stoke it. While the fire's roaring. Fire is roaring. She's like, I think I'll stoke the fire.
Well, Scott's like, you can't do anything. You're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, she is pretty useless throughout the movie. She's just like, hey, like, when she wakes up, poor Angel, like, it's time to take Angel to bed now. She's passed out on the couch. Angel, wake up. It's time for bed.
Yeah. Let me just rouse you completely awake. On a strange surface.
Why not just lift her off the bed and take her to her bed? Like what's the point? Angel, it's time for bed.
Hopefully,
wake up! It's time for bed. You've been sleeping for like 2 hours.
Hopefully, you won't be so startled that you don't go back to sleep again when I wake you up and put you back in bed.
It's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's just...
But yeah, again, like this, the movie does have those things where, every movie kind of has this, where there's sometimes dialogue is just kind of there. It's just throwaway dialogue to like keep the movie moving, and you notice it, and you're like, why would they do that? Like, doesn't make sense. This movie has it in spades. Like literally everything that's said as dialogue is like, why? Why would you do that? Who would do that? And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Another thing that like comes to mind for me that really doesn't make much sense in this movie is when Mistake is like trying to seduce the Spanish woman.
Maria,
yeah, that's right. And
Charo 2.0 because she's like just sitting there like Gucci.
I know, and for being directed by Nettie Pena, a Latina woman, they kind of take away a lot of stuff from Maria as a character. Like she's just kind of like a Latina stand-in here, like not doing anything. Like
she speaks Spanish the entire time.
She can't speak English. No one knows what she's saying. She's kind of like comedic relief. It's somewhat offensive, I would say, but yeah. And the other thing too I liked about Maria is she gets murdered by Jay Jones, and then Scott and Jennifer find her, and they're like, why would Mistake murder her? I'm like, I don't know, maybe it was an accident. Did it look like an accident? Could that have been an what kind of event do you think took place where that was an accident? But anyway, from what you could see, what did you think about the kills in this slasher movie?
There's only one that's worth a damn. And that's the body slam on the fucking poor Harold.
Yes,
when he's
on the car.
When he's sitting there being a scumbag, like, I gotta get gas for the generator.
Yeah, I forgot.
Hey,
too.
Hey,
who does that?
There's nobody around. I'm gonna fucking funnel the gas out of this car.
There's a random car here. You know what I'll do? I think I'll just skim this gas. Why?
And then after that, the battery on my Jeep's piece of shit. I'm gonna rip the battery out.
You know what? I think in that one regard, Jay Jones was justified. He's like, you fucked with my car.
And then he comes sprinting out like a madman, and then fucking as he's poor Harold's hunkered down under this hood, comes sprinting out, and then fucking 5-star frog splashes him like he's fucking Eddie Guerrero and crushes him.
Crushes him in the car trunk or the car hood.
It's so fucking stupid, but it's so fucking funny. It's like just
yeah, that is definitely the best death in this movie.
Other than that, the rest of them are very tepid.
They're kind of
like
strangulations, or you don't really get to see it. And like I said, we watched an obviously bad copy of this movie because it's not easy to find, and you can't really see a whole lot of the other stuff. Sometimes it's like completely hidden in the dark. And actually, at one point, I was like peering through the murk trying to see like there's one scene where he's like walking in the house and it's completely dark and he's got a flashlight. And there's like this, it makes a big point of like he's seeing something, like we should be seeing something too. Like, oh no, he's gonna discover something, and then he goes away and we're like, I don't fucking know what was in the corner there. I can't see anything in this movie. It's completely black. So, but no, and on it. So let's talk about this too. How festively holiday Thanksgiving-y is this movie?
Like a 2 out of 10. Just saying, oh, we're having Thanksgiving dinner, and then being like, oh, look, here's a turkey and some yams that I'm going to feed you. And do you like mashed potatoes with herbs and spices?
This movie could have been set on a Sunday. Like, we just came home from church. We're having some turkey.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb. Like,
I do think that was thrown in, especially considering the year that it was released. It was thrown in to be like, this is the slasher movie for Thanksgiving. Like, you've seen Halloween, you've seen Christmas.
Listen, we didn't have a lighting budget, so while you can't watch this film, just know it's on Thanksgiving. Like, it's totally like fucking stupid and irrelevant to the plot. Like, the idea is, like, that's what gathers them are all around here to get slaughtered. But everyone is so loosely connected and don't feel like a group of friends. You don't give a shit. You don't care. Every one of these assholes deserves to be slaughtered. And it's just fucking stupid. And, like a total waste of time. And just terrible, like a terribly written script.
One of the things that I like too is that so everybody's kind of gone off, right? So like the girls are still missing, Harold's still missing, Wayne has driven off and he's now like searching for people, and then you've got Scott and Jennifer who stay back and they put the turkey on the table. And they're like, hey, we've got time. Why don't we go up to my apartment? It's like, you just put a turkey on the table. That gets under room temperature. You're looking at bacteria. You're looking at food poisoning. Don't put the turkey on the table to get food poisoning. Go.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird that they're going to run up and do some childhood fondling, but after the turkey, but as the horror film kind of mantra goes, it's not me, this is science. The smaller the boobies, the less time it takes to bust a nut, so he's going to be back down there having a drumstick in no time. So, you know, that whole, you know, bacteria, he doesn't have to worry about that. They're going to go upstairs, he's going to 2 pumps and dump and go. Have his stuffing and, you know, drumstick.
Yeah, Wayne looks like a 2-pump chump. Or not Wayne, I'm sorry, Scott. Not
Who
Wayne.
cares? They don't know. Who cares? Don't dignify it.
I know. I have absolutely no idea who the fuck is who in this movie. I think
I was gonna say because in the beginning when we see Harold and Linda, and he's breaking them boobies out, you know, when Kay Parker's out there, it's, you know, a slowly working upon that, you know, he's ready and raring to go. So, you know,
yeah. Hey,
it's just a horror film trope.
How do you feel about the end of the movie, which also goes full horror film trope where the killer just will not die.
Gets stabbed in the back. Well, look at like how fucking beefy he is.
That's
like
true. He's just like, that just went through the first muscle. Okay.
I was waiting for him to flex and it fucking launched out of his
The
back.
pops out.
Like, you know, like he's Popeye. It's funny when the cops arrive. It's like, partner. Come on, partner. Hey, partner. Hey, we found a little girl down at the gas station. Partner. And it's the same cops from earlier who are creeping on Linda and Gail, and they find Gail after she softly hit her head on a rock. It's just like, oh, she's dead. I guess, and then instead of like...
What an unlucky place for a rock like that. Just like flips over the car, punk, done.
Not only that, though, but just like... Oh, there's dead bodies here. And they keep going along like they're not stopping, establishing a crime scene or anything. They're like, oh, we got a bad guy to catch. And then, I'm surprised they shot him because he's not black. So, you'd figure the LAPD, like that's part of the modus operandi out there. Like, oh, you're white? We'll take you in.
Well, I guess you're not going to try to take this guy in, though.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
Well, it's just fucking stupid and ridiculous. And then they got that at the end where after they shot him twice with a shotgun, which, by the way, poor girl lying there, she could have been hit by some of that, fucking shotgun spread. In fact, she didn't, it was a goddamn minor miracle, but, afterwards, he's lying there, and then at the end, he opens his eyes like, "Oh, I'm still alive."
I know, yeah. They try to go for
get the coroner ready. There's a lot. They're gonna be busy.
Yeah. But I think it's quite ridiculous towards the end, and at that point, even though this film is pretty short on its own anyway, it's like 83 minutes long.
It ain't 83 minutes long.
It still has reached its definite limit. Like you're ready for this to be.
I was ready for this film to be over with at 24 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely outlives its welcome. All right, so cover everything that you want to talk about? Home Sweet Home?
Probably.
The title itself is really misleading because it's not really many people's home. Out of the 9 people, it's like 2 people's home. But anyway, it was also known as Slasher in the House, which I guess is a better title. I mean, it's pretty generic, but it at least is a little bit more
gives you
relevant.
An idea what the hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Home Sweet Home. It's like, oh, am I watching that? Is this a documentary on Motley Crue?
Yeah, right. Agreed. All right, so on a scale of 0 to 10 Kiss Army Soldiers, what would you give Home Sweet Home?
I'll give this a 3.5 out of 10. This is a fucking terrible film. This is a fucking beyond tedious film. This is an awful film. The fucking idea is trash. The acting in this film is trash. The fucking idea is stupid. The film is poorly made. You can't see throughout, 40% of this film is shot poorly lit, so you can't see what the fuck's going on. The kills outside the one fucking 5-star frog splash death are fucking terrible. The acting in this film is terrible. There is nothing redeeming about this film. Outside of the, 82 minutes, maybe 3 minutes has some jovial, haha, this is so bad, it's funny. This is a fucking bad film. It's a slog, it's awful, it's unenjoyable. If you are one of the people who think, I like bad films, I can enjoy them because they're such a romp, this is not one of those films. This is a shitty film with no merit. And I would never, even my worst enemy, suggest go and watch this film. I was literally restless throughout this film. Getting up, walking around, moving my fucking car from the sidewalk to my driveway, doing other ancillary things. This is a fucking terrible film. Do not watch this film. Is it as bad as Mako? Well, it's been like 7 years, so I can't remember. I don't think so, in my heart of hearts, because that's one of the worst films I've ever seen. But this is fucking dreadful. There's literally nothing redeeming about it. It has a few funny moments, but outside of that, it is not worth your time. It's not worth the effort. Stay away. And no wonder why we had to watch this on like some Malaysian bootleg site, because this is a fucking dreadful film that even Vinegar Syndrome would turn their nose at and be like, you know what? Not worth it. Not worth the 5 copies we'd sell. 3 out of 5. Fucking awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a good movie. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 4 out of. I think you said 3 out of 5, but you mean 3 out of 10.
3.5 out of 10.
3.5 out of 10. I would give it a 4 out of 10. I think that it is sometimes unintentionally funny. It definitely doesn't mean to be, but it is. And I think that's probably its only redeeming quality. Other than that, this movie is not a good slasher movie. It is not a good cult film. It's not entertaining. Besides those brief comedic moments, and I think that the turn in the second half where really nothing happens is pretty boring. So most people won't get enjoyment out of even the second half, where you would normally expect to have the film kind of ramp up and escalate the violence. It does not happen. You don't really get much of anything. There's a reason why it's not available. Pretty widespread. It's just not a movie that anyone had any interest in. I think it's one claim to fame that it has, Nete Pena as a female director here from a slasher movie is kind of cool. From a film from 1981, it's not really that common for that to happen, but it's just not a very good film, and I don't think that anyone would really like this movie. The only people that I could see even potentially getting some enjoyment out of it would be people who love bad movies, but at the same time, this is one of those movies that is so bad it's just bad, for the most part. It's not even so bad it's good. It doesn't have anything going for it that would make it a good movie. And the lack of a plot itself is just, the icing on the cake to make this a really unenjoyable experience. And if you're looking for a Thanksgiving movie, this one ain't it. Thanksgiving is in it really briefly, but it's not the main focus of the movie at all. So, all right. So that's our episode on Home Sweet Home. We've done a couple episodes now where we've covered Thanksgiving movies that weren't really that Thanksgiving-y, and we didn't really enjoy that much, but we hope you enjoy listening to the episode itself on the movie.
It's going to be hard to.
And then also, we hope you come back for our Christmas episodes, which will start next week.
I already have 2 nominations.
Okay.
You want me to announce them?
Sure.
Trading Places.
Yep. It's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie, and I want to finally do On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Okay. It's a tangential Christmas movie.
No, it's not. It's Christmas. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's a Christmas movie.
Well, it's a Christmas movie, but it's one of those ones where it's like Christmas is happening in the background, right? There's not like a main hey, it's Christmas. James Bond.
It's a James Bond Christmas.
It's it's Christmas James Bond, like the Charlie Brown special.
Listen, we need the tangential Christmas film because Tim Allen's back to say Christmas is under attack.
I know that's on the list. The Santa Claus is on the list. We just have to wait for all the episodes to release because I think they're releasing weekly, if I'm not mistaken, and we have to set aside 3 hours.
How many episodes are they doing?
I think it's 6 episodes in total. So we need to set aside 3 hours to cover it in one episode. Watch it and then cover it.
Damn it. There's no Judge Reinhold either, right?
That's correct.
Oh,
I don't think anyway. I don't think. It does get most of the regular people back, though.
If it doesn't have Judge Reinhold, then there's no point.
Yeah, there's already 3 episodes released, and I do think that it's going to be 6 episodes because I think they're calling this basically a 3-hour movie.
You know what? Also, we can do Lindsay Lohan's comeback Christmas film.
Oh, that is true.
And then we need to finally do a Lacey Chabert Christmas film.
I thought we were saving that for the 1 year that we do a Hallmark Christmas on the podcast. Just pick 6 Hallmark Christmas movies.
I was gonna say that'd be a year-long project, just fucking because it'd be.
I think it could be fun because we could point out all of the things that are like tropisms of about. We could even come up with like specific categories that we need to hit. A bingo card of sorts for
Lacey Chabert
for the
Christmas
holiday movies. Yeah, we could do a Lacey Chabert Christmas because she definitely has more than 6 movies for Hallmark, so we could do that at some point. Maybe next year.
She was in Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
We have to do Home Alone 2, I think, too, right?
No, we don't.
We did Home Alone.
Yeah, we finally did last year.
But we haven't done Home Alone 2. So that's
Did you see what the newest one was called?
Home Sweet Home Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet.
I think we need to do that one.
Right? Yeah, for Home Sweet Home. Yeah.
Tie it all in.
So you'll want to stick around for our Christmas series because we're going to start that next week and it's going to go all Christmas season. So
I think we really need to do Home Alone 3 the most because that's probably the Home Alone I've seen the most.
You can't skip Home Alone 2 to go to Home Alone 3.
Sure,
I will allow skipping the rest to go to Home Sweet Home Alone because they technically it's more of a remake. So I will allow it.
No, you won't because
I will not allow skipping to Home Alone 3.
The Holiday Heist has fucking Malcolm McDowell as the villain. We are not skipping that. Malcolm McDowell had his stage of, I need money. Please give me money. Money?
True.
My Halloween money has dried up. Please give me money. Money.
Let's see. I'm just trying to calculate. 1, 2, 3. Oh. We're gonna get 4 episodes in at some point. We'll get 4 in. Technically, the weeks that we have until Christmas is only 3, but we'll get 4 because Christmas is on a Sunday, which makes it a little bit awkward.
We're gonna do Caligula too to celebrate Christmas and Malcolm McDowell.
All right, well, let's wrap this episode up. Let's say Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners. We hope you enjoyed our very festive episode on Home Sweet Home.
Don't watch it.
Don't put it. Well, you know what, though? If you got to drive the relatives out, you're looking to get rid of them, put on Home Sweet Home. I think it'll do the job.
I don't know. Your Trump supporting uncle might be like, this is good shit.
But thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And if you did like it, subscribe to us on pretty much any podcasting app that you could think of. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or home base at anchor.fm. Good Pods, whatever you listen to, we're on it. So leave us a nice review and give us a subscription. We're on Twitter for right now until it implodes. And Facebook, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. So search for us on those. And we have an email address, bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. You could write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what Thanksgiving episodes we should cover next because we're running out of them, and we'll definitely take that into consideration.
That's just Ryan saying he doesn't want to do Alice's Restaurant.
I will do that one. I do at some point want to do Hostile Takeover as well, which is a Thanksgiving movie from George Mihalka, who did My Bloody Valentine. So I do want to do that one at some point. It's just another one of those movies that I can't find. So, let's see, where was I? Oh, you can donate to us on Patreon at patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. You can send us money, and we will put it back towards beer. So we appreciate that, whatever you can donate. Thanks for listening. We hope you tune back in for our Christmas series that's starting next week. We're going to cover some old stuff, some new stuff. Should be fun. Until then,
take care.